lock in their spot for the Copa Elite Six. We do have some conditions of how they can actually make that happen. I'm going to read this out so I don't get anything wrong. MIBR, any win, and that means that MIBR will be in the Copa Elite Six. Black Dragons, any loss, and that means that MIBR will be in the Copa Elite Six. So an overtime loss for MIBR and a regulation win for Black Dragons will mean that Black Dragons go into the Copa Elite Six. MIBR, regular time loss. Black Dragons, any win. Black Dragons, Copa Elite Six. So it's not as easy as it might sound. I understand that there are things going on there. The top and bottom of it is MIBR need a win here and now. They need to leave nothing else on the table, and they need to come away with a full 3 points here to give themselves the best possible chance.
MIBR, here we go. Shall I start on the defense? Not the favored side that you would like to start on, shall I? This has been known as a much more attacker-sided map. So NIP, all pressure on them to make these attacks work for them. In terms of bans, Ollie, I think nothing too crazy. Really, Kaid would be the only issue that I feel teams are going to run into. Maverick isn't really a pick that we see all too often on Chalet. Maybe because some of the Maverick positions that you'd want to go for, especially if you look towards the top floor, can be difficult to really get some, room to Maverick without getting peeked from so many angles that can be really established by the defenders. MIBR, straight downstairs. Not messing around.
MIBR have been one of those teams that hasn't shied away from that basement site. Happy to go there. Happy to throw it in as a first choice and try and get NIP off to a less than favourable start, a site where they maybe weren't entirely prepared to go. Only one hard breacher being brought is going to put a bit more pressure on Kamikaze and his role here. A large and extended roam clear to do as well, no doubt. You think about MIBR and really what strikes me the most out of their playstyle is their ability to roam and lurk. And you look toward a player like Felipox or Lukid, they are masters at that craft. Redux as well, currently got the most opening kills inside of stage 3 for the BR6. So another player really to keep an eye out for. And that's all things that are going to need to be dealt with, especially on a map as sprawling as Chalet. You can't afford to be giving those players much space.
Were NIP thinking of pushing in this basement? Looks as if maybe trying to clear out roamers potentially upstairs. I mean, they have the sledge, so they certainly could utilize the self-destruction that you can gain if you take control of lobby. Then certainly by all means move in there and start decorating the floor. Open up a lot of angles. And this is quite a surprise to see MIBR go for such an aggressive roam game. Oh my word, Ollie, we're almost seeing a run out from the big garage onto the man on the rooftop, trying to support Reduct the best that they can. But MIBR are very, very strong right now up top. They have a lot of different holes being opened up to allow these quick rotations. NIP really can't pin them down because of this. They're going to try their best to use their roam work, but they have lost the first blood though. Kamikaze is gone. That's the Thermite, and MIBR, this roam game is working a treat.
The best start that MIBR could have hoped for here. You need to get onto NIP early. They are not on fine form at the moment. It isn't going to take much to unsettle them. And they've done that very quickly here. Muzi, he's often found a couple of kills when it really matters, but even then he's shut down by a Reduct as he picks his second on the round. NIP, they're going to die all in Solarium at this point for a site that was basement demo. It's a flawless to kick things off here for MIBR.
Great stuff from MIBR. NIP, I think, played in to MIBR in that scenario, Ollie. MIBR wanted them to aggress onto the roam game. MIBR had, what, 3 guys roaming, leaving only 2 on site? But I think because MIBR know that they have not only the Kaid, but also the Mute, no way is NIP going to be able to open up walls whenever we're dealing with a Thatcher and a Thatcher ban. And whenever NIP are not interested in taking Maverick, they're going to have to try and push those rumors out. And MIBR were ready for it.
NIP are playing to MIBR's tune at this moment. They are firmly dancing to the beat that MIBR are setting. Strange place for the whole round to play out. Solarium. You're attacking into garage. You're attacking into basement. You need to, you know, there are certain things to do. If it all went down in library, you could maybe understand it a little bit more. But NIP were like a dog chasing a cat. They were like, oh, there's a roamer. We must deal with the roamer. And yeah, sure, you should. You know, you should try and do something about that. Doesn't mean you need to directly all swing in through solar window. There are other ways and means of getting the job done, or you could recognize, hey, there's only 1 or 2 guys on the site. Maybe we get something done there, but MIBR can move off. We're going to go downstairs into the kitchen, or should I say up 1 level into the kitchen. A little bit of an extension upstairs and some rotations being made. A couple of holes in the floor to work with as well. MIBR get another good start to this round. It's going to be difficult to see this game going any other way than a quick victory to MIBR. I really do worry about NIP in the head state at the minute. You need to come up with some success, and it needs to happen fairly quickly.
NIP swiftly moving on, as they will look to try and clear out the top floor first of all. So pushing in from library and eventually working over towards the office is going to be their go-to idea, I believe. Lineup, I mean, it is a quite aggressive lineup, although you have Uriana, you have the Sledge, you have the Twix. Those are all operators that we expect to see in the opening kill sheet. And there's Pino with that opening pick. Reduct goes down, who did cause them quite a lot of issues last round. He will not be able to recreate that this time around. Only bringing the 1 hard breach does kind of limit them in terms of what kind of takes they can do. But I don't think NIP will struggle with that. I think NIP, if they can formulate a good plan, pushing in from one direction, and especially now with that, they've got the opening pick, they have an extra man. NIP, whenever they have all 5 players, are very, very scary to deal with, Ollie. As we know, they can set up their crossfires and all establish their positions and finally go in for an execute. Not a lot of teams can stop that.
Psycho's still going to be hanging around on new balcony. To just see if he can get anybody tempted in having a little bit of a peek. MIBR not in a position to be playing aggressively at the moment, though. Fighting from a man down. Really did a good job to burn quite a bit of time. It's unclear at this moment as to what exactly NIP have got done. Not sure if they've actually got the breach open or not. We don't really look over toward there. We can see Fleepox is going to be peering through there now. Conscious of some solar pressure. Val's going to be on the site. Toxic Babes in hand. All 3 available. MIBR still contending on this top floor, and it's doing a lot to slow down the push here from NIP. Raps is caught out of position and taken out. Pino, 2nd kill on the round. Lukid still upstairs, still looking to cause a menace. With all the Toxic Babe canisters remaining, it is going to be difficult here for NIP to get themselves in and to get the plant down. They've still got to get downstairs. They've still got to get to the site before they can even hope to clutch something out here. They're going to open up into B. You see the exothermic placed on the wall there. Lukid inside a trophy. Just going to be holding on to the window. Playing for 1 kill and 1 kill only here. Waiting to be challenged. Fouls. He's going to see some pressure from above, but finds the frag. Psycho. He's going to be down for the moment. Felipox comes in from main lobby, picking one up as well. The diffuser in Kamikaze's hands, but not being planted. MIBR, they're going to take that on time.
So disappointed from NIP. If anyone's wondering why the wall wasn't opened up, they didn't remove the mute jammer on the wall. They couldn't get into sight. So, NIP set up, you know, as what we expected to. They took upstairs, they kind of nullified the roam presence, but they could not eliminate the mute jammer. And from there, there's no bottleneck. They're choked up. We see a destructive flank hit them on the backside, and NIP crumble where they stand. 2-0 MIBR. Really preying on the openings that NIP are giving them.
Another round that really comes down to NIP just getting wrapped up in the game that MIBR wanted to play. That was a 5 versus 4. NIP got the opening pick. In fact, they got the opening 2. Pino picked up 2 kills to start things off there. It was essentially a 5 versus 3. MIBR still managing to dig deep and finding that time, and it's more often than not been the problem for NIP at the minute. They've regressed into that stage 1 version of themselves, where time was their biggest enemy on the attack. Never mind the defending team. The biggest enemy for NIP was the time, and that's happening again here and now. Running out of it inside of that round. When you've got the man advantage, when you've got, you know, the ability and the utility to actually start opening up that floor, really isn't something that you can afford to be doing. You need to be able to move quicker than that. Especially on a map like Chalet. We've spoken about it already this week in Demo as a map that there are opportunities here for the attackers. It isn't a said done deal that the defenders have the run of the teeth. It's even something you mentioned at the start of this game, that MIBR, well, they're not necessarily starting on the favoured side. Favoured or not, doesn't matter at the moment. They're making it work for themselves.
So we now maneuver into our next bomb site choice, which will be the bar. Surprising that MIBR are going to try and send NIP really everywhere apart from top floor. Top floor is statistically the most favoured bomb site that we see defenders go to. It's always going to be a top floor pick right off the rip. But they've kind of broke the mold now, as they're all over the place, keeping NIP on their toes. And I mean, it is Bar in Gaming, which I believe is the second pick bomb site statistically. So I'm sure NIP will be happy enough to deal with this. NIP haven't changed their lineup, Bolly. That's one thing that I think we can definitely take in consideration, is that they've picked a lineup to prepare for every bomb site. So really, there shouldn't be any excuses with what they're bringing. I mean, they have a good mix. We know NIP have kind of favored bringing Twitch quite a lot. Twitch is great for eliminating utility. Any ADSs that might be lurking. If Goyo gets brought, could be great for that. Element also. You have the nades. You have the hard breach. Julio on the Nomads would be great against MIBR, where we know they have that roaming presence. So they have everything going. What a swing from Files, holding onto that angle, and Muzi falls for it, walks straight into that angle.
It's frustrating as well, because you'd already seen the Gemini clone be taken out of that exact same spot. Muzi suffers the same fate, and so do the rest of NIP. Kills flying in here, and it's almost certainly going to be a flawless. Kamikaze, has he got anything to go on? Gets a glimpse, has a shot, but is ultimately going to miss. C4 flies out, as well as MIBR. They're too busy taking each other out to try and deal with him. Raps eventually finishes the job. Unfortunate about the TK, but hits the C4, which was shot out mid-air, but eventually goes for the repeat. Scrappy ends what was otherwise a very clean round. MIBR almost a flawless there, if not for the TK. 3 rounds in a row here. NIP looks like they're running out of options.
Extremely well done from MIBR to just get those opening picks. It seems if NIP were just forcing these one-on-one gunfights, and just didn't happen. So extremely well done to them. I think MIBR right now are on top of everything. NIP, it's the same story, Ollie, that we've kind of seen all season. Not much more we can dig into it. NIP are just in a lull. I don't know if they can get out of it. I mean, obviously, we know that teams are always going to be prepping for next week, Ollie, into the Copa Elite Finals. But NIP with the current form, would people really then think, oh, they're just saving strats, oh, don't worry, they'll bounce back? Do we really think that?
Yeah, a stage of saving strats. It's a little bit far-fetched, isn't it? There's got to become a point where, as a competitor, you can't subject yourself to the sort of mental trauma of losing week after week after week and having all these critics sort of crawling out of the woodwork. You know, the same people that were cheering them on at Invite now sort of questioning, going, what's going on with this team? You can't subject yourself to that, I don't think. And, you know, as true competitors, which we know them to be, can we really honestly sit here and say that they've been saving? I genuinely don't think that you can. So even inside of this game, look at the score. Pino's got 2 kills. He got 2 inside of 1 round. Muzi's had 1, essentially an exit frag. And that's it. Psycho, Julio, Kamikaze, no kills.
Not off to the races for some players from NIP. Maybe this is their chance to change it. Nate gets tossed in, and that's going to be an easy kill Fouls. Very risky to play in that position, knowing that you don't have a Jaeger, especially Ollie. You know that's never going to end well, and... Oh. Oh dear, Muzi. He's tried to kill him with a God 6, but Awami Disc has actually captured it.
Oh, the revive's going to pop off as well here. Muzi could choose to play this aggressively and hop in.
Brilliant.
But Lucas hit him with the bait and switch. Love to see it.
Phenomenal work from Lukin, and he's still a menace, Ollie. Look in the position. Can NIP lock him down? He has that Roni in hand. Pino no pushes straight into the bomb site, in fact. It's a minute 30 and NIP are trying to cause issues. Redac will put an end to that, but there's Julio. Finds a kill onto Rax, and another one falls for MIBR. Psycho takes the swing. NIP finally looking a little bit up and ready for this fight. Philippox will find Kamikaze. Now his diffuser in his hands, but still a 1v2. He has to go up against a 1v1 now, and he knows exactly where Julio was. He was on the window rappel. NIP not again.
Ooh, Philippox arguably gives himself away. That's basically the only position he could have taken where he was at risk from Julio there. A strange play by Philippox. If you know someone's on that rappel, their best chance of getting you is moving into piano from bathroom. That's exactly what Philippox did. A round. A much needed round for NIP. Finally, they got themselves a couple of kills. Finally, they've got onto the scoreboard. Welcome to the game. It's round 5. You now need to start catching up.
Here we go. 3-1 NIP. Finally showing us just something, Ollie. That's what they showed us, something. But we need more of it. I think even though they won the round, Ollie, it wasn't as convincing as what it probably should have been. It came down to a 1v1 that was maybe poorly played, you could say, by Philippox. But still, I think MIBR looking good, still looking good. Couple of moments there, Ollie, which you do kind of question and think, okay, why have they done that? I would say, but you know, overall, not too bad from them. So we'll see now how they push into their basement. Last time, Ollie, this was down to a massive roam game from MIBR, and then NIP just fell victim to it. I think MIBR were expecting NIP to see roamers and think, okay, hump them, kill them, but it didn't work out for them. A couple of changes, though, in terms of operator picks as well, Ollie, that we have to take in consideration. No Vigil, which I think was featured during the first round, so there is that minor difference. NIP, how will they respond? Again, still no changes to their lineup.
Who's he going to be hitting that trademark position on the roof? Get himself in there and catch out players on the rotate. It's a great spot to try and occupy. MIBR haven't really given all too much away from there at the moment. NIP, after that round, is that going to give them the little bit of a boost that they need? Backing onto the basement. This round was famously fought inside a Solarium last time. Demo inside of round number 1. Everything seemed to go down in there as NIP got trapped into clearing out that roam game. It looks as though it's all happened a little bit easier this time as they've been able to take that top floor control and actually push MIBR down back a level relatively early on. It's taken them half the round, but they haven't lost anyone yet.
No, they haven't as of yet, but this is still good, I think, time management from MIBR, being able to run the clock down already to 1 minute 30. And still a lot of work to be done for NIP. They have to establish where they actually want to push. Will they go for the vertical game? Will they just kind of ignore that and try and push in towards Wine Cellar? Look at the position of Pino. That kind of leads us to believe that it will be a Wine Cellar take. This is your sledge you would expect to be upstairs, creating chaos, but not this time around. The only thing that you would worry about is the Goyo shields. But then again, they have Twitch. They still have nades from Muzi, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Main wall gets opened up, and NIP, they have a beachhead.
Giving them a good focus now into that Wine Cellar. Psycho's still searching roamers, it seems, on that top floor. Philippox playing in bar.
Got Lukehead as well.
NIP, a little bit unsure on how they want to try and approach this. They've got the wall open, but they're still very spread out here. Leapox is not looking to give anything up inside of that main lobby. Pino with the long angle now. Utility getting pinged out, so drones being used here. 25 seconds left. Pino still holding the long angle. Great nade there from Muzi, but a good swing from Fowls on the fight back. Psycho, he's trying to get himself into the action here. A second nade flies in. Muzi this time will be unsuccessful with it, but he can hold on to the angle. Kamikaze cuts Fowls down and starts to try and get that plant, but a great swing from Raps, shutting down Muzi. Now the retake is really on as Lukin has everything to do. To push his way in, but with the plant going down, it's going to be very difficult. Kamikaze eventually finds him, shutting him down. NIP, they pick up another here.
Yeah, NIP, that's much better from them. Much more coordinated. Didn't lose anyone in the actual execution of the rumors up top, so that was a lot better from them. But MIBR, I mean, they had roamers, but I think just the fact that we're seeing Nomad be brought by Julio, it really hinders the roam game. No flank's going to come in from MIBR whatsoever. So maybe you put question marks thinking, if they know they have a Nomad and they've got your flanks covered off, maybe it's better just to come back to site.
Yeah, I think MIBR just got caught out there with how much they were sort of giving away in terms of that roam game. They were very convinced in trying to hold on to it, but the lines that NIP actually took to get themselves down onto the site, they weren't really in position to affect onto it all too much. A good focus on getting the plant down there for NIP really dragged them through. They could still salvage this demo. For all that it's been a shaky start, NIP could come out of this at a 3-3 split.
Definitely could, and I mean, it's still, even if it is a 3-3 split, Ollie, for most people's expectations, it's still below par. 4-2 is the common occurrence that we see for attackers on Chalet, so they just missed the mark just a little bit. If MIBR win this round, though, and they go 4-2 up in defense, and then they have the attack rounds, I really fear for NIP at that stage. So it is a bit of a decisive round now for NIP to kind of put our predictions in place and kind of figure out how this game's going to turn around. So, NIP dealing with that bar defense again. And this was one, Ollie, that they got rinsed in. They lost just numerous 1v1s in a matter of 10 seconds. And they were stuck in a 1v5 for about a minute. Couldn't really do anything. So, NIP hopefully did learn from their mistakes. I think a little bit more drone work, a little bit more coordination. I think the refrags have been lacking today as well, Ollie. I think that's been shown. Just, it's not the same NIP. Just not. And it is sad. It is sad.
Well, let's see if these couple of rounds that they've been able to get is going to be enough to turn this one around for them. As we mentioned, still the chance of an equal split here. MIBR certainly looking a little bit less confident than they have been doing. Pino moving through Piano. Nobody initially there to challenge on. He knows there's likely going to be a player at the top of Library Stairs. The Iana clone coming in now just to gather a little bit of info as well. Lucid playing at the top fireplace, conscious of the window. Knows that a push is fairly imminent. Hopefully does have an ADS assisting him there, as it's a very common spot to be naded out from. At the moment he can just hold his angles and wait for this push to come. There's the nade, and it is going to miss.
It is indeed. Some wasted utility from NIP's perspective, and MIBR still have control of this top floor. And Ollie, once again, I worry with the time. Pino just says, you know what, somebody has to get something moving, and he will begin the onslaught upstairs. Raps is still lurking above, but has that hatch open, and he will drop down it. So, 1 minute. NIP have upstairs control. How will they capitalize on this advantage that they have been gifted by Lucid, losing that first engagement? NIP, are they going to have a bit of a comeback, or will it be the same old story?
Well, the vertical control is firmly in Pino's favour here. He's just going to try and open up a couple more angles, see if there's anyone he can force out. 30 seconds left. Psycho making a rotation round. Julio holding it on to the bottom of Library. Reduct takes Pino down on that vertical. So that's a lot of pressure now NIP have lost out on. Reduct will fall, though, as Kamikaze from above has retaken that position. Kamikaze does have the diffuser in hand, so it's likely going to be a hatch drop if he's to hope to get the plant down here. Foul still playing in back storage. No Toxic Babe canisters left for Leapox. Looking to push up bottom of library stairs. 1 second left, and the plant will start going down, but it is altered. Why does he come off the plant? Question mark.
He ran into a smoke
ran into
and he
the
got
smoke.
downed.
Oh.
The smoke did enough chip damage, so I think a couple of stray bullets from Connector were able to hit the Thermite and down him. Oh, unfortunate from NIP, but they left it way too late, Ollie, for going for something to that degree. NIP, time against them. It was a big talking point that I know last year in the 2020 season. That I know Ace, he went on a lot about NIP just being too slow in a lot of their circumstances in attack, and they were able to quickly turn that around and rectify those mistakes for their invitational run. But it seems as if that same NIP from last year is now making a reappearance where they're just too slow.
The diffuser was going down on 1 second.
Yep.
There was 1 second left, and it was one of those situations where the second had already ticked, so it wasn't. There was less than a second left, you know. Kamikaze leaving it a little bit too late there, but it's not just him, is it? You know, it's the team as a whole getting themselves into a position to be able to get the plant off. The Toxic Babe must have been pre-placed, because I commented at the time there was none left. Fowls hadn't got any left in his pocket. He must have thrown one out and pre-placed it onto the door, because that was, as you say, what did the tick down, so enough to stop the plant from going down at least. 4-2 split for MIBR here. NIP still not out of it yet, but that Cobra Elite 6 spot is looking pretty tasty at the moment for MIBR, and they're going to have their eyes firmly fixed on it.
So, MIBR. Now they have the attack in their lineup. Pretty scary with the addition of that Nuke being brought in. Especially if there is an Echo on board, Ollie. Nuke can be a very sneaky operator to maneuver in, not only up staircases, which I think is kind of what Nuke's known for, is being a crash-walking operator up staircases, but even walking into site positions can be extremely strong, as we know. Obviously, I think Echo, where you would expect to see one of those drones near the main breach, making sure nobody can plant, would be, I think, a fairly safe bet that there would be one there. So that's where Nuke could maybe cause some issues. Psycho has chunked down a lot of his HP. There is one man outside of his bathroom window. He doesn't really know what he wants to do here. Holds on to it for the meantime. But Lucas ain't going to move an inch. Ain't going to move until he hears a call, hears some information, and he'll try and pounce on that opportunity.
Leapox playing a risky game here, especially with that line of sight that Muzi had available to him. Muzi very easily shuts him down there. Leapox just gets caught looking the wrong way. Leapox obviously trying to push on through to assist Lukid there somewhat. Swing in from Raps unsuccessful as well. Lukid will take down Psycho. That's an engagement that's been brewing for some time, but MIBR are paying for it dearly. They are now 2 versus 4. Redux hops into his immediate death as Kamikaze is there to shut him down. The diffuser could be recovered here by Lukid, but he is still going to be 1 versus 4. Gets a couple of shots in onto Julio, enough to down him and take him out of the picture. But still a long way here to go. NIP, excuse me, you're just going to peek one at a time. What is going on here? Muzi's going to be the next to fall, and this is doable now for Lukid. Does he know that the player is going to be super close with the shotgun? The answer, no. Kamikaze is going to be the player to find that final kill. NIP drag one back.
Very difficult for Lukid in that scenario against the shotgun on a staircase. Ain't gonna work out for him. NIP, their roam game, working very, very well. MIBR just didn't have the refrags going for them in that round. Yeah, surprising to see MIBR really struggle with that. They were a good team at dealing with aggression against Fury. I think we witnessed that in full force on Friday. But then again, NIP maybe didn't have that same aggression that we've seen Furia have. Maybe it is a case of MIBR just not entirely sure what they wanted to go for. Keep in mind that was a kitchen defense as well, and to see so much utility be placed upstairs. Was Solar taking the best idea? Maybe you would have been looking at your library clears, then moving over, opening up office wall perhaps, and trying to play from there.
Quite possibly MIBR could have had a slightly better take in onto that. They certainly lacked a lot of information. Think about the nut play that Philippox tried to pull off, and it was just very well ill-advised. Wasn't even that much focus on getting the wall open upstairs either. I understand it's a kitchen attack, but you've got to deploy some sort of hard breach on that top floor to ease clearing it out. That wasn't really on MIBR's to-do list either. Slightly different lineup here, though. We're not seeing the nut brought this time. A little bit of a switch around has occurred. MIBR, second attempt here at trying to maintain that lead. NIP not beyond the realms of possibility for them to start catching up here, and well, we all know what they can do when they get a bit of wind under their sails. Been a while, but I'm sure they've not forgotten.
Now they're starting to pair. See how they want to set up. You can see that MIBR have put quite a lot of drones downstairs. That's probably covering any flights that might come their way. Surely not a double window take. Surely not a double window jump in. You see they've also opened up the garage wall also, Ollie, so maybe they might be looking to target blue. So a couple of different options here for MIBR. It's not the basic and more common strategy we're used to seeing, but still a viable one nonetheless. That blue stairs, it can be very easy to take if you are bringing some nades, and I mean, Luke does have 2 sets of nades that he can utilize on those back stairs. Whenever most of the NIP ADSs are upstairs for the top floor hold, then nothing really stopping him from that perspective. You see NIP, even they don't really know what MIBR are thinking and what they're up to. We start to see some pressure being applied in towards that top floor, but minute 30 gone. Still no kills. No real map control for MIBR either. And there is a slight bit of worry from me, Ollie, that maybe MIBR are going to try something risky that could pay off, but if all I'm thinking is going to be a double window jump in, it can be easily denied from NIP.
The old risky but worth it. Needs to be timed very well. MIBR know quite a bit at the minute. They've been able to keep a good amount of these drones alive. They've still got 7. A lot of them are out in place. Fouls. To disrupt the player inside of back storage. Lets a few pre-fire shots out. Reduct opens up with a kill onto Julio. Julio's been on drone and known for quite some time there. Nullifies a lot of the pressure that was inside of that closet. And now maybe allows Reduct to push in a little bit more aggressively. But instead, he's just going to back off. Still drone work going on upstairs, as Fowles is going to be the next player to pick up a kill onto Kamikaze. You can see NIP, they have to start rotating back into the site, and MIBR are there with the shutdown and the crossfire. Philippox takes down Psycho. Muzi upstairs on balcony. Got a line of sight, but he has to jump on down. He can't leave it all for Pino to do. Lands a couple of shots into Philippox, but it's not going to be enough. Eventually is taken down through the soft wall. Pino finds one onto Fowles. A little bit of an unfortunate TK there does occur, but Luki flies in to save the day. TK or not, it will not matter. He only had 1 left to find. He searches Pino out inside of storage. Some great information gathering there from MIBR.
Yeah, very slow-paced round, Ollie. Nothing really going on for MIBR until they found out the positionings, and then they just threw everything they could at them. So MIBR really coming together. It's not the kind of Brazil playstyle. But then again, Ollie, we have made a lot of comparisons of MIBR, saying that they are the most unusual Brazilian side. We do closely resemble them to how some EU teams play. They set a great precipice for actually playing Cafe in Brazil, which was something that we never really seen. And, they've talked about the boot camp that they did inside of Europe was a massive help for them during the time of the Mexico Major. So, yeah, MIBR, I think, have really came a long way, and you can see that their playstyle has certainly changed.
Yeah, and the boot camp's done them quite a few favours there, hasn't it? They've changed the pace of how they want to play, and I know that they're a team that put in an extreme amount of work. And even though Philippox wasn't able to play, he's still, going to be able to have discussed and spent a lot of time last stage refining things as a team, and that's really started to show here as they've moved into stage 3. 1 round away from match point, 2 rounds away from closing it out and locking in that spot in the Copa Elite 6. A lot riding on the next couple of rounds here for MIBR. If they show the same careful and considered approach to the attack that they did back in round number 8, well, you could only worry for NIP. The information gathering is fantastic. I'd like to see it on like a big security monitor, you know, demo where you've got everyone's POV and you can see all the drones and where they're really searching things out, because that was the real masterclass in the previous round.
It was indeed. Let's see now how NIP can hold on to their next bomb sites, and it will be that top floor in towards that bedroom. NIP playing heavy downstairs in towards the kitchen also, Ollie. This just applies just a little bit of pressure to MIBR, because if you are attacking into bedroom, and you're primarily trying to take in towards office side, if the enemy side has downstairs come off, they have kitchen and dining, impacts below, C4s below, can all be issues. A quick swing from Redoc, I think, will down Kamikaze. Hasn't been able to finish them off, though, but still, that is some good damage and will cause NIP just some issues.
Every time we flick onto a player that's on drone, they seem to be eyes on one of the defenders. They are really putting that information to good work. Julio will take down Reduct. He was half health, but the C4's done the rest. Initial down has been recovered as Kamikaze has been picked on up. Raps, bit of an entry in through Solar. Conscious of bathroom, maybe looking for a bit of a wall bang here as he is going to see the player jump out and actually go all the way out downstairs. Going to rotate back on in. Pretty risky way of getting themselves safe, but it's worked out. Nobody there to capitalize on that at the moment. Raps a few points of damage in over onto Julio as well. Julio going to hit the repeat and eventually fall. Nade was sent through just to guarantee that, but site control further now in control of MIBR. They've got somebody on the big window as well. Still the flank to be concerned about. Lukid's moved up into bathroom and can look to watch into piano now as well. Another C4 from below is going to see Lukid gone though, so another point of vulnerability now could be that bathroom and piano rotation. Vals himself into Solar. Plant is pretty unlikely in the current state of this round. And MIBR do need to push on up just a little bit further and start to make something happen. Under the cover of the smoke, the plant will be attempted. Be surprised if NIP let this one go through, but it looks as though they might not have any say in it whatsoever. Raps takes Pino down. Fouls picks up another onto Muzi. Raps, what a round he's having so far. 3. Can he make it 4? Kamikaze is the last player alive here. This is to guarantee MIBR a match point from the upside down repel for Leapox. Puts the final nail in the coffin, and we see MIBR move to a match point.
Great round from MIBR. Really enjoyed watching that Solar take. And Solar takes can be difficult to really pull off. There's a lot of working parts and a lot of different angles that you need to cover. But the double window repel, Ollie, is the biggest thing going for Solar takes. That double window cuts the bomb site in two.
Keep themselves in this one. But I just don't see it happening, if I'm being honest with you. MIBR are one step ahead in everything that they've done so far today, and I do not see that changing anytime soon. We're going to be attacking into games. Can they make magic happen? Can NIP pull this one back?
What they ask, 3 rounds is what they need in a row. Can they do it? Move now. Over to the next bomb site choice. Into bar we go, and this was a very strange attack that we've seen from MIBR. Very, very slow, very patient, relied extremely heavily on drone work and information gathering, but it worked extremely well. They kind of all said, okay, let's go. Oh my. Drive-by.
Ferrari peaked in every sense of the word. Pino, first of all, shut down here, sent to the cameras when his team need him the most. Nobody really standing head and shoulders above anyone else on NIP at the moment. A lot of players stuck on 5 kills, but Pino was one of them. Fighting this round from a man behind, straight off the rip.
C4 being tossed out by Julio, doesn't catch anyone though. That window pressure still being applied by the Buck. Lukid with a big nade kill now, 3 versus 5. Is this where the door shuts for Black Dragons, and MIBR will take their spot in that 6th position and move on to next week finals. NIP have to be the saviors for Black Dragons right now. Psycho close onto that bedroom door. He knows that somebody is lurking inside the Solar, but doesn't want to take that fight. Julio responds with 1 kill and 2 now. Julio a massive double kill and quickly escapes down the dining hatch, and he is now in basement. However, does get hunted down. Philippox is ready for him. And now a 2 versus 3 Psycho offsite, which leaves Kamikaze all by himself. A lot to ask from Kamikaze, the resident support main for NIP. How can he perform?
C4 in hand for both these remaining defenders, so a chance to try and make something happen. Let floor on the hatch as well, so no real worry of a hatch drop. 45 seconds. A lot of time here. Try and make something happen with. MIBR. Slowly circling. You can see the smoke canister come out. C4 is thrown. Flashbang deployed into that back storage. Kamikaze, full white at the moment. Has to rotate out. Looks for the engagement. Puts a few shots in, but is unable to connect. Philippox shuts down Psycho. It is now all on Kamikaze, and he can't do anything. Raps makes the final kill after a fantastic last couple of rounds. And that's it. MIBR lock themselves into the Copa Elite 6.
Great work from MIBR, well deserved. They had a great run of form Ollie this weekend, and it is enough to push them into the top 6 positions. So that means, unfortunately for Black Dragons, they will not make it to the finals this weekend. Commiserations to Black